Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey experiences with a safe and supportive community. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And while you're at it, click on your like, share, and subscribe buttons. Well, let's get started with today's guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Laura Ordile, Ordile. It looks like Ordile, but I'm an ordeal. And I am a mindset mentor, a master hypnotist, and also a professional astrologer and intuitive. And I help people in a myriad of ways, but one of the ways is to move through change in a quick, easy, and complete way. And some of that is through hypnosis. And I actually do kind of dive into, or have just started diving into past life regression as a part of that. And so that's a little bit about what my story's about, is past life regression.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'd love to hear more about mine. So maybe someday we can get together or something.
Yeah. Well, past life regression can be so useful and so fun at the same time, and very interesting. And
Mhm.
sometimes, for some people, it's what they would term a little bit scary, but excuse me. But I think for the most part, it can be really amazing. As long as you are, led through in a way that is productive and safe with the person that you're working with. And I
Yeah.
happened to experience it a while back with a wonderful person, and she actually guided me through past life regression and a future life regression, which was super interesting.
Oh
And
yeah, that's got to be really cool.
uh, in the past life regression, the I wasn't, anyone famous or anything like that. Everyone's like, oh, everybody goes back and there's somebody famous or some big drastic thing. I was a witch that was burned at the stake or something. And I actually wasn't. I was I was a young woman and a bride to be. And I was actually, of course, being brought together with my groom at the time because it was an arranged marriage. And
Oh,
so I was probably, 16 or something like that, 16, 17 years old, somewhere in that range. And it's in a, I guess, upper middle class family. They did pretty well. It was a big estate that I got to go visit. And I remember all of the feelings from being there and what it was like, and trying on the outfit and kind of looking around and being nervous about what the person, the man was going to be like, and kind of trying to talk to people to find out because he wasn't around yet. I was talking to people to find out what he was like. So it was just as you would experience in your life. You had the little and kind of butterfly feelings that were going on, and it was really interesting, and she guided me really well, even to the point of getting my name and age and what I was wearing and things like that. And it was
oh,
really fun to experience that. And the way that it worked, she kind of guided me through some of the important parts of my life. And one of them obviously was that part, meeting the groom, and it was so fun. Actually, when I got to meet him, he turned out to be a pretty good guy. So I was grateful for that.
oh God! You always get really shaky with that. It's like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
is this guy gonna marry me?
And
Yeah.
so that was fun. And then, they kind of guide you to the next important time. And that was birth of a child, for me. And it was really cool because the husband that I had was really happy and excited and,
Oh, good.
good to me, and all of that. And we had a son first, and then we had some other children along the way. And I remember kind of having a life. I did things, and they would ask me questions. What do you do, for other times? What's going on? What's important to you?
Yeah.
And really, she guided me so well into the intricate details that were there.
Wow.
And it was just really an interesting very interesting experience. And then it came to the point where she guided me to the point of my death in that life. And some people will stop there and they don't take you through the death scene or the experience or anything, but this
Mhm.
person did. And I was grateful because it was so interesting. And what I mean by that is I was an old woman and I was dying in my bed and some of my family was there. But what happened was when I died, basically I was all of a sudden up and out of my body. And so I was experiencing looking down at that death scene
Oh
and
my.
my family and me and it was like, oh my goodness. But what I remember in feeling was such a pure, amazing love and gratitude and sorrow at seeing the people that I love sad and that my time was done, that life was done and I was moving on, but how grateful I was for the people, for the life, for the connection and I mean just amazing, overwhelming love and feeling. And then she guided me into what they call a life between lives. And so you go and you kind of experience life in between the lives a little bit and what that's like and what you experience in there. And honestly, I was just thinking about it. I don't remember a ton of that. I should go back and listen. I think I have a recording somewhere. But there was that time in between where what are you doing? Are you learning? Are you ready to go into another life? What are you feeling? Who are you meeting up with? All of those things, so you're kind of making like, oh, I'm meeting up with my soul family, this person I'm so excited to see because we're going into the next life together, or we were just in the last one together and having such interesting conversations. It's kind of
Wow.
cool.
And was this the
And
life just before this, your current life?
no, it was one from a while back. I don't remember if it was somewhere 16, 17, 1800s, something I can't remember right now.
Okay.
17 or 1800s, I think. I want to say 17.
Okay.
But that one was, no, that was a while back. But and then she actually takes you into a spot where you kind of come back into yourself and you have a moment of talking with your guide. Basically your guide meets you and you talk with your guide and it's all about why did you go to that lifetime? What was important about that lifetime for you to know in this lifetime? What were the things that were meaningful?
Oh
Was there a
wow.
lesson that you needed to remember and bring forward? Was there something you needed to leave behind and let go of? All of those great things that came forward. And it was great because it was very personal for me at the time and in what I did need to know and what I did bring forward and it was so soothing and just was like, oh, okay. You kind of have that moment and that's what it was like for me in that. And I was really lucky because also in this part with this particular person, she takes you then from being with your guide and you kind of decide with your guide or your guide decides with you in this moment if you would like to go meet up because you're in this very safe space at this point.
Right.
If you
Right.
would like to go and meet up with anyone from this lifetime who maybe has already passed and have a conversation or get advice or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And so sometimes they're not ready for that or they don't. And sometimes you are. And you can go and I remember distinctly that was the animals that came that I got to meet up with.
Oh
The
really?
all the dogs that, and all these little animals that had been a part of my life, and it was like, "Oh my gosh, they're here." And I had some other connections and things that were there for me, but that was such a lovely moment too, and for anyone who's really missing someone, that's a moment where, um mediumships is awesome. Mediums are great. I'm actually medium as well. I didn't mention that, but doing mediumship is great. However, when you get to do this part of it in this type of a situation, it's you basically directly communicating and meeting that person, or that whoever puppy that you
Yeah.
wanted to have the connection with. And so it's such an amazing moment to be in at that point, that it's just incredible, and so meaningful to come through that. And if we're here as people, we're here as emotional beings, and when
Yeah.
we can go in and tap in to those types of emotions that are at such a core level for us. Oh my goodness. How
Yeah.
amazing is that? It's so
That is
incredible.
like totally amazing. That is, wow. That's so much information to take in right now. It's just, I had a question and it's lost my brain right now. But, oh, I'm like twirling a bit right now. So bear with
Yeah.
me. But yeah, to start off with, that's one of the things I would like to do as a medium, to be a medium. I think it would be so awesome to be able to help people out and allow them to connect and heal and all of that. And having that time to go back and visit with anybody you wanted, that there, wouldn't that be kind of a karma healing spot to where you could go back and heal
You
at
know,
that point?
maybe it might be. I don't deal a lot in karma, so I can't really answer that with a lot of knowledge to
Sure.
it. Um, but I just think in terms of healing, yes, it's
Yeah.
absolutely healing. And it can do things in ways that I don't know. I mean, it's just at such a base energy emotional level that it can change things at a level that I don't think other things can.
No. Yeah, that would be so amazing to remember that and to,
Oh yeah. And
oh,
you do remember it, and you come out of it. And if you don't remember, that's one thing where, she actually recorded and did some of the things there so that you can go back and listen to it and experience. Because at that point, when you're doing a past life regression, you're at a kind of a lighter hypnotic state, because you're answering questions and you're replying to things instead of just going through the process of being led in hypnosis.
right.
But at that level, they are you're responding to stuff, and so it's cool to be, because you're kind of almost you're at that deep enough state to not have the conscious mind interfere and be
Right.
like, "Oh, you don't know that," or "That's crazy," or, anything like that. You're deep enough where it's just kind of in flow, but you're still able to respond, which is really cool.
Yeah, I went into, a friend had put me into past life. He's just kind of starting out, so he wasn't going too far with me. But he did take me into two past lives. And one of them was like in the 1800s. And that one there, I remember going down like the city, down through town, stores on both sides and everything. And I ended up buying a rifle. I saw myself heading back out of town. And next thing I know, I'm being hung. So I don't know what I did, but and then another one at that time was I had committed suicide over as a pirate. So I remember I saw that and all, and then another time I was doing a meditation, and then I saw a current life, a past or future life, a past life, but I saw my mother as an ET, and the only one I can think of is maybe a tall white.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was her son at that point.
that's cool.
That's,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
exciting.
it's fun. And sometimes it is just for fun, but when you can go through and find, what the lesson is, or what, even if it's not a lesson, even if it's just an affirmation or a reminder to you about something. This is this is how wonderful life can be.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you had this difficult life, but look, you made it through and you did this, and now you're in actually a better life.
A better life.
So, be good with that. Or, oh, and maybe you do have a healing something from a past life that needs to come through. Lots of people have physical healings after they do a past life regression, people who figure out that they were hung in a past life, or you know had their throat cut or something horrible like that,
Yeah.
but they've always had throat issues, or neck pain or something like that. All of a sudden it's gone after they go and
Ooh.
simply acknowledge and become aware of something. I mean, that's the way our minds work in general, even in this life, is when we can go and discover and become aware and acknowledge the things, we come into a healing process. Awareness is everything.
And that makes me wonder because I carry all my stress in my shoulders. So I don't know, would that be possibly something from that hanging?
Well, it can be. And maybe if you'd gone a little bit further, if he'd taken you a little bit further in that process and been able to kind of go beyond it into that healing of kind of leaving that life and letting go of it, then that could actually help heal that. So,
That's
yeah.
interesting. That's really cool. That's good, 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 good. And you said you had some stories of being in a spaceship?
Oh, the future life.
The
Yes.
future life? Yes,
The
yes.
future
That's
life.
exciting to hear.
I don't remember quite as much about the future life, but I can remember enough, I guess. I remember being a man in that life, a young man. I was a doctor, and I was on a exploration ship, and it was, out kind of in deep space doing some exploring and things like that. And it was headed it was headed somewhere. I don't remember the actual planet at this point, but it was headed somewhere. And I remember standing like at the window looking out at space, and we were passing a planet or something, and it was just like, wow, so cool. And then also I
Mm.
was actually, as that person, I was kind of just having some personal thoughts about what had happened. I had lost my wife, and was I, ready to go and be in a new relationship, or what was that going to look like? And all of those things running through his mind about what was happening. And it was just like now, how your mind goes here and it goes
There,
there, and so I
yeah.
was doing that, and it was, I was thinking about the medicine, or the things that some of the things we were taking, and did we have enough, and was it going to be there, and what would we be developing? There was some work going on. I was working on something new at the same time too, and so and I didn't even really understand some of that. But I could see, and in the moment I knew, got to work on that, got to do this, and all of that. And it was incredible. It was just really cool. And to just be in a life again, just kind of like, life is life.
Yeah,
You're going to have the thoughts like that. You're going to have the daily things going on, even if it is however far in the future or however far in the past. We all have things that are in common in those lifetimes. We're there for the experience. We're there to live and enjoy and be on the ride, and to meet up with the people that we've chosen to meet up again, to experience things sometimes that are wholly difficult, and things that are wholly wonderful.
yeah,
And even though that lifetime might have been incredibly difficult, to the point where you did want to commit suicide, you couldn't do it anymore. It was there. Um, that was, what you went in and did in that lifetime. And then you come out and you're like, it's almost like, I think it's Mike Dooley that has a great book, and it's called 10 Things Dead People Want You to Know. I think that's the name of it. It's an odd name, but it's a great book. And in one of it, I almost think, if I remember, if that's the right book, he talks about the comparison of kind of lives and things. And he says it's like a ride at Disneyland, or going to Disneyland with your group. everybody goes, yeah, let's go on this ride. And you go on that ride and you have a good time and you get off and it's like, oh, do we want to go on that ride again? Do we want to go on this ride over here? And you kind of split up as friends and someone decides to go over and here and someone decide to go over here. And that's kind of the way that the life happens and our souls happen. You know,
Huh.
we come together again and again, but we might come together in a different way, or we might meet up with a different group over here. And then we come back and it's like, ooh, how was that ride? What was going on? You know, is it fun? Was it interesting? What'd you think? And what was it like this time for you? You know, what happened? And so you kind of have all of that fun stuff going on in between the
Yeah.
lifetimes too, which I think is great to experience some of that in between communication and information as well.
Yeah, that would be something to experience, and remember. you know, um, that's a good analysis, with
Yeah,
the rides and everything. So it makes your life more of a, you could think of it more of a journey, more of a ride. Let's
it
put
is
our
a
hands up.
ride.
Let's ride our ride.
Yeah. And you know, it might scare the crap out of you along the way, but then you get off and go, oh, that was so scary, or this happened, or that happened. You know, you go in the haunted house, it's going to be a little more difficult than going on the Pirates of the Caribbean or going, you know, it's a small world or something like. And if you think about it, that's what lifetimes are like. You know, each one is a little bit
A little
different.
different.
You might experience some of the same things. Maybe you are kind of on the same ride because you wanted to see how it was going to play out, or you really loved it and you want to experience it again and you want to experience it again. And
Or
why
see,
not?
this time if I raise my hands in this spot, is it going to
Yeah,
be different than
I'm going to get a
keeping
better
them
picture
down?
here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes life feel a lot more fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I love that. I love that little analogy. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
I like it too. I like it too. Let's go ride the rides. Excellent, excellent. Um, and then you had a lost life?
no,
No,
not that I,
no.
no, I don't think so.
Okay, okay. Do you have any other fun stories for us?
Oh, you know, I could sit for 4 hours and probably talk about all the different things. So we'll just leave it at those two for now and just kind of let that go and encourage people to have fun with it. Go out, find
Yeah.
somebody who really is going to guide you through the full process and do that. And I'm always, you can come to me, and if I'm not the right person for you, I will recommend you to a couple of people that I know are really good with it. And they take you through the whole process so that it's not just go in the past life, oh, you're out. You know, it's going through the whole journey of it so that you experience everything.
Everything. Yeah. And that would be interesting because I'm finishing up a book now that then I'm going to be reading a book about the inner child and helping out the shadow, was it shadow work?
Oh,
Working on some shadow work. So that's why it's partly why I was asking about the shoulders, because it was like, okay, well, maybe if I could get rid of that along with all of this others,
okay.
just kind of learning about it. Yeah.
I do a lot of work with, I guess you would consider it inner child work in my hypnosis. I do a lot of kind of regression work that goes back and clears a lot of things. And what's amazing in that is when you go back and you clear those things, it's like pulling a sliver out of your hand that's been there for so long. And every time something touches your hand, it hurts. When you
Yeah.
pull that sliver out, it's like no more symptoms, no more headaches, no more anxiety, no more IBS, no more chronic fatigue. It's incredible.
Oh, that would be so nice. Yes, I'm more on my joints, my knees are, the troubles with the knees and elbows, and I'm just a mess. But yeah, work my way through all this, and then it'll be good.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. You say you have a lot of stories. Do you have a quick short story?
Oh, with past lives or
Anything, anything.
oh, kind of, maybe. I had a
Okay.
really interesting experience one point with I don't know what I would call it. Astral travel maybe, where
Oh,
I went to sleep and experienced what I later termed as a little bit of a dream, but it was so much more intense than a dream. I In the dream, I was all of a sudden I was in this other body and I was coming up and I was under in like an underground parking place.
uh-huh.
And I was coming up and I had this long black hair in my face and I was wet and I was gasping. I was like getting my breath. And I just remember looking up going, "Okay, I'm all right. I'm okay." And I look over and all of this mud had come through, like, you know how they have the open portions in between the thing?
Yeah, yeah,
All this mud had come through, and it was just like, oh my gosh, and I was my heart was pounding and I'm looking around and I just remember really feeling, okay, I'm okay. And I knew that I had actually kind of been like, I think up on the sidewalk. And now I was like underground in this place. And
oh my
what had
goodness.
happened um, was the water had come and whooshed and thrown me in under this underground, where the cars were. And I was like, oh my gosh, and I felt it. I felt it so real. And I was
Yeah,
like pushing my hair back and going, all right, I'm okay. I'm all right. And the mud was there, and it's like, okay, there's still space there. And then a couple, kind of just the being aware that you're alive and okay and thinking, okay, what's next, and
yeah.
then I woke up and it was like, what is happening? And I literally was like that, because I felt like I was that person. I was in that body.
Yeah,
I could
uh-huh.
feel the hair, I could feel the wet, I could feel everything. And it was just like, whoa, that was really weird. And so I happened to tell my daughter and my daughter-in-law about it that morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And it was so wild. And I think within a couple hours of me telling them what had happened, we found out it was all over the news at that point that there had been a huge tsunami in this area,
Oh my
this one
goodness.
area. And I was like, oh, that's what happened.
Oh,
That
wow.
I actually had astral traveled or somehow been in that body for whatever reason, period of time, and
Oh,
experienced it in that
wow.
moment and had lived through that tsunami. And so that was really incredible feeling.
Oh,
One
I
that
bet
it's
it was.
really hard to describe, of being in such an awareness of being in a different body, but still in this body,
Yeah.
like, so it's like,
Oh,
okay.
like
So
two bodies in one. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's
yeah,
pretty cool, though. That's an awesome story. I
thank
love
you.
it. I love it. And yes, I can talk about this stuff forever and ever, too. That's why I have the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, our time is pretty much up. But I just wanted to thank you so much for being with me today, and I'd love to hear more stories from you. I mean, it, I just know you have a ton of them, and they're really going to be awesome
it's
stories.
fun. It's fun. I'm glad I got to share them with you. I hope that it's meaningful to someone out there, that it encourages them in some way.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It does help with me, if nobody else. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with me today, and we hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. You have a
Yeah.
good day.
All right. You too. We'll see ya.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.